Welcome to This Day in His Story, created by American Heritage Worldwide, a reminder that every day holds something new to learn. Did you know that nearly 94 million families in America have at least one pet? Learn how pets can lower stress, improve physical and emotional health, and boost your confidence and self-esteem.
94 million. That's the number I have written down at the very top of my notes today. I actually circled it twice because it's so massive.
It is.
94 million families in America are, right now, sharing their living space with a pet.
It's a number that's, well, it's almost too big to really wrap your head around, isn't it? It sounds like the population of a whole country.
It does. But then you actually zoom in, right? You look at your own living room, or you walk down the street at 5 o'clock in basically any neighborhood, and you realize this isn't just a cold statistic. It's a fundamental part of how we live our lives.
Yeah.
And the reason we are digging into this today specifically is because of a date on the calendar, February 20th.
Right. National Love Your Pet Day.
Now, I have to admit something to you and to everyone listening, just to be totally transparent here.
Okay.
When I first saw this topic come across our desk for the deep dive, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. I thought, oh, great, here we go, a fluff piece.
I can see that.
You know the type, right?
Yeah.
5 minutes of looking at cute puppy photos, maybe a debate about cats versus dogs, and then telling people to go buy a new squeaky toy.
Which, to be fair, is a perfectly valid way to spend an afternoon. I would never argue against looking at cute animal photos.
Oh, absolutely not. I am guilty of scrolling through them for hours. But that's not really what we do here on the deep dive. We want the substance.
Of course.
And what surprised me is that when we actually cracked open the source material, the articles, the medical studies, the historical notes, this isn't a fluff piece at all. It's actually a pretty heavy look at biology, psychology, even human evolution.
And that's really the mission for this deep dive. We want to move past just the cute factor. We want to understand the why.
Yes.
Why do we bring these animals into our homes? Why do we spend so much money on them? And more importantly, what are they actually doing to our bodies and our brains while they're just, sleeping on the rug?
So consider this your permission slip. Yes, go spoil your dog or your cat today. But we're going to give you the scientific and philosophical ammunition to understand why that bond is so essential.
And the data is fascinating. It suggests that while we think we are the ones doing all the caretaking, we're buying the food, scooping the litter, paying the vet bills.
Right, we're the responsible ones.
The dynamic is actually, in many ways, reversed. They are doing a massive amount of physiological work on us.
Okay, so let's start with the nature of that bond itself. Because the sources opened with this philosophical point that I hadn't really considered before. It argues that keeping pets is one of the defining lines, maybe one of the only lines, that separates humans from the rest of the animal kingdom.
It's a profound observation if you just look at the natural world objectively. You don't see a lion keeping a gazelle for companionship. You don't see squirrels keeping beetles in their nests just to, hang out with. Animals interact. Sure, there's predator and prey. There's symbiosis where they help each other survive. But they don't generally bring another species into their inner circle, name it, and care for it purely for emotional reasons.
That act seems to be uniquely human.
It does.
It feels like it puts us in a separate category. But then, and this is why I love doing this show, because just when you think you have a rule, the research breaks it.
Yeah.
The source material threw a massive curveball at us.
The Coco exception.
Coco the gorilla. Now, most people probably remember Coco, right? Famous for her sign language abilities.
A celebrity in the scientific world, for sure.
But the sources highlight this different aspect of her life at the San Francisco Zoo that I think is even more telling than her vocabulary.
Right. So we have to remember Coco was born and raised in captivity, which is an important variable. It's a unique environment. But the researchers noted that Coco actually had a pet.
A pet.
She didn't just have toys. She had a pet cat.
Just visualize that for a second. You had this massive, powerful primate, a creature capable of immense physical strength who could easily crush something by accident, gently caring for a tiny, fragile little house cat.
And it wasn't just that the cat happened to wander into the enclosure and she didn't chase it out. The sources are very specific here.
What do they say?
Coco was allowed 1 hour a day to hold, love, and pet the cat.
That 1 hour detail is what got me. It implies anticipation It implies a routine. It wasn't an accident. It was a relationship. She probably looked forward to that hour all day long.
Exactly. And from a scientific perspective, Coco just blurs that philosophical line we drew. It suggests that the drive for companionship, the need to nurture another living thing, it might not be uniquely human.
It could be deeply primate or even mammalian.
Right. It speaks to this universal emotional need to connect, even across species lines.
It's fascinating because it takes the pet concept out of culture and puts it squarely into biology. If a gorilla can feel the need to love a pet, it really does suggest this isn't just some cultural quirk we picked up. It's primal.
And because it's primal, it has physiological effects. That's the pivot point. If this bond is hardwired into us, it means our bodies react to it.
Which brings us to the physical side of things, what the notes call the gym factor.
Yes.
And I think anyone who has a dog is just nodding their head right now.
Yeah.
I don't care how tired you are, how bad the weather is. Pets are catalysts. They force you to move.
You cannot hit the snooze button on a bladder. That's just the reality of dog ownership.
True. But it's more than just the chore of it. The sources point out that daily dog walking is a legitimate, clinically recognized strategy for weight loss.
It is.
It's consistent, low-impact cardio that happens whether you feel like it or not.
And consistency is the key to so many health metrics. You might skip the gym because you had a long day. You might skip that spin class. But the dog is looking at you with those eyes. And you have to go.
You have to go.
But I want to go deeper than just weight loss or burning calories. The medical data provided here is really striking. It links pet ownership to lowering 3 distinct major risk markers for heart disease.
And these are the big ones we're talking about, right?
The big ones. We are talking about high blood pressure, triglycerides, and cholesterol.
All 3. Wow. That's the trifecta of heart health. Usually you need a prescription for that.
All 3. And think about what that means. We spend billions of dollars as a society on statins and blood pressure meds. We go on crash diets. But the research suggests that the simple, non-pharmaceutical presence of an animal can physically lower these stress markers. It literally calms the heart.
That is wild. It's like they're living beta blockers.
Yeah.
But there was a really interesting nuance in the research from the Washington Post about the pandemic.
Yes.
It adds a bit of shadow to this otherwise sunny picture, and I think it's important we touch on it.
This was a fascinating sociological finding. So obviously during the COVID pandemic, everyone was locked down. And the data showed that people were walking their dogs significantly more than ever before.
Which you'd think, great, everyone's getting healthier, happier.
You'd think. But the report noted that while the frequency of walks went up, the owners reported enjoying it less.
That is such a strange dynamic.
Yeah.
I'm doing this thing that usually brings me joy. I'm doing it more often, but now I hate it. What was going on there?
It really speaks to the context of the activity. This is the Blinkist insight here. The activity itself isn't a magic pill if your mindset is wrong. During the pandemic, the walk became a duty. Or maybe it was the only escape from a claustrophobic house, but it was laden with all the stress of the world. It became a mechanism for anxiety instead of a release.
So the physical benefit, the movement was still there. They were still getting the steps in, but the psychological benefit was dampened.
Precisely. It highlights that the bond is a two-way street. It requires, presence of mind. You can't just mechanically walk the dog and expect that serotonin boost if you're doom scrolling on your phone the whole time.
You have to actually be in the walk.
Exactly.
Speaking of things that seem counterintuitive, we have to talk about the immune system. This is the part of the research that I think every parent listening really needs to hear.
Oh, absolutely.
Because typically, the logic is, if I bring an animal into the house, I'm bringing in allergens. Dander, fur, dust.
Right. The old school of thought was that if you want to prevent allergies in kids, you keep the environment as sterile as possible.
But the data just flips that completely on its head.
It does. The studies referenced here show that children who grow up in homes with pets are actually 33% less likely to develop pet-related allergies.
33%. That's a massive reduction.
Yeah.
It's not a margin of error. That is a clear trend.
It's very significant. And the prevailing theory here is something called the hygiene hypothesis.
I love this theory. Break that down for us.
So imagine your immune system is like an army in a fortress. If that army never sees any action, if it just sits in a sterile bunker all day with nothing to fight, It gets jumpy.
Okay.
It doesn't know what a real threat looks like. So when a little bit of dust or pollen shows up, it overreacts. It launches a nuclear strike. And that's an allergic reaction.
So the pet is basically providing basic training for the immune system.
Exactly. By exposing a child's immune system to these mild allergens, the dander, the dirt they track in early on, the system learns. It gets tougher. It distinguishes between a real pathogen that can hurt you and just a bit of dog hair. It learns not to panic.
And the sources say this actually plays out in school attendance records.
It does. There's a study cited that shows children in homes with pets miss fewer days of school due to general sickness compared to kids without pets. So they aren't just less allergic, their immune systems are generally more robust.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So to recap, you're getting a workout, your heart markers are down, your kids are staying in school, but we can't ignore the brain. Let's
Right.
talk about the psychological growth for kids.
This is just as critical as the biological side. The key phrase the sources use here is confidence booster.
How does a hamster or a beagle boost self-esteem? Is it just because they're cute and make you smile?
It's about the nature of the feedback loop. Think about a child's life today. It's full of judgment.
So much pressure.
Teachers grade them, parents correct them, peers judge them on the playground. But a pet provides unconditional, non-judgmental validation.
The dog doesn't care if you failed your math test.
The dog doesn't care if you have the wrong sneakers, or if you stutter, or if you tripped in the cafeteria, and that constant baseline of "I love you no matter what" builds a secure emotional foundation for a child.
And then there's the responsibility factor, which the sources really emphasize.
Yes, the simple act of pouring food into a dish, it seems mundane to us, right? Just another chore. But for a child, it teaches a profound lesson. I am not the center of the universe. Other living things have needs: food, shelter, love. It shifts a child's focus from me to we.
It's empathy training.
It is. And in a household, adding a furry friend lowers the cortisol levels, the stress hormones, for everyone. It changes the whole emotional temperature of the room.
Which transitions us perfectly to the other end of the age spectrum.
Mhm.
We've talked about kids, but the sources put a heavy emphasis on the social and emotional wellness of seniors.
Absolutely. This is where pets can become lifelines. The sources use the phrase "cure for the blues," which is a gentle way of talking about depression and isolation in older adults.
And loneliness is a massive health risk.
It is. Some studies suggest chronic loneliness is as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow, that's a stark comparison that really puts it in perspective.
It does, and a pet is a wedge against that isolation. But it's not just about having a living thing in the house to talk to. It's about what the notes call the icebreaker effect.
I love this concept. I've seen it happen in my own neighborhood.
It's so true, isn't it? If you walk down the street alone, head down, maybe wearing headphones, people might nod, or they might just ignore you. You're invisible.
Right.
But if you walk down that same street with a dog, what happens?
Oh, people stop. They smile. They say, oh, can I pet him? What breed is that? He's so cute.
Yeah, exactly. The pet acts as a social lubricant. It gives strangers permission to break the social contract of silence. It bridges that gap. Suddenly, you aren't strangers. You're two people admiring a dog.
And the notes explicitly state that pet owners are statistically more likely to know their neighbors.
That's the data point that proves the theory. The pet connects you to your community. It gets people out of the house physically, yes, but socially, it anchors them in their neighborhood. You stop being that old guy in 4B and you become the guy with the golden retriever. You belong.
So we've established that having a pet is basically a magic pill for health, immunity, child development, and community building. So now, let's get to the fun part. Today is the day, National Love Your Pet Day.
The how-to manual for pet appreciation.
Right. Some of these are standard, but they're good reminders. Spend extra time playing. Go buy that new toy they've been eyeing.
Grooming is on the list too, giving them a really good brushing, which again serves a dual purpose. It bonds you through touch and it keeps the house cleaner. A win-win.
Homemade treats, extra long walks, those are the classics. But I want to focus on the ones that were a little unique, almost whimsical.
Which one stood out to you?
The first one was lie down on the floor with your pet and see the world at their level.
I love that. It sounds so silly. It sounds like something a kid would do. But it's an exercise in perspective taking.
It is.
We spend our lives towering over these creatures. We are literal giants to them. Getting down on the carpet, seeing what they see, the dust bunnies under the sofa, the way the light hits the floorboards, it aligns you with them.
It's an empathy exercise all over again.
It is. It breaks the hierarchy for a moment.
And then there was the massage. But not just any massage. The notes specified a circular motion.
Right. And why circular? It's not just random. The sources say a gentle massage with a circular motion doesn't just relax the animal, it enhances trust. It mimics the grooming behaviors of their mothers.
Oh, like the tongue of a mother cat or dog.
Precisely. It reinforces that bond because it requires you to be slow, gentle, and attentive. You can't rush a massage.
And then, for the ambitious listeners out there,
Yeah.
teaching tricks.
Positive reinforcement. Sit, speak, roll over. It stimulates their brains. You know, a bored pet is often a destructive pet. They need mental exercise.
But did you see the suggestion for cat owners specifically?
I did, and I laughed out loud.
Try giving your cat a high five.
Yes!
I have to say, if any of our listeners can successfully get a high five from their cat, please let us know. That feels like an advanced maneuver. My cat would just look at me with complete disdain.
It's ambitious, certainly. Cats operate on a different operating system than dogs, but the source suggests it just takes a lot of extra yummy treats. You have to make it worth their while.
There was also a mention of a video, a quick 1-minute clip with more ideas. So if you're a visual learner, those resources are out there. But really, the theme of all these suggestions is just intentionality.
Exactly. Whether it's a high five or just an extra 10 minutes of fetch, it's about breaking the routine. It's about stopping to acknowledge the relationship, to say, I see you and I appreciate you.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to zoom out one last time. We've talked science, health, the challenge of high-fiving cats. But you wanted to bring in one final layer of depth, a historical or really a cultural context.
Yes. The source material includes a specific reference to the Old Testament, Genesis 1.24.
Let the earth bring forth the living creature.
Right. The full verse is, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth.
So why is that important to include in a modern deep dive about health and psychology?
I think it frames this bond with animals as something ancient. It reminds us that this isn't a modern fad. It's not just about Instagram photos of puppies or buying expensive organic kibble.
Whether you look at it through a religious lens or an evolutionary lens, the presence of animals, cattle, beasts, creeping things has been fundamental to the human story from the very beginning. We were never meant to be alone on this planet.
That's a beautiful way to put it. We share this space. And for 94 million families, we share our actual living space.
So this raises the question for you, the listeners. The source explicitly asks this: how many pets do you have?
And what are their names? We want you to think about them right now. Visualize them.
Is your favorite a cat, a dog, maybe one of the people with a bird, a fish, or a reptile?
I think the biggest takeaway for me today, after all the allergy stats, the heart health data, the cocoa story, is the concept of reciprocity.
That's the key word, reciprocity.
We walk around thinking we are the benefactors. We think, I am taking care of this animal. I'm rescuing them.
But the data proves otherwise. The lower blood pressure, the stronger immune systems, the reduced anxiety, the connection to the neighbors. That is the animal taking care of you. The pet keeps the human healthy.
Yeah,
It's a true partnership.
it is.
So your mission today is clear. Go find your pet.
Give them a circular massage.
Pry for that high five if you're feeling brave. And just realize that they are doing just as much for you as you are for them. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Go enjoy National Love Your Pet Day.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us for this day in His story. May the lessons of yesterday inspire you to see God's hand today and to play your part in His story now. For more faith-based learning, visit ahsworldwide.org, the homeschool for faith and family.